We have with us today, folks, I'll tell you a little history about him, and then we'll go on with the show. I've known this fellow for many, many years, knew his dad, the family. When he was a youth, he was always in a little bit of trouble here and there, but that was his age, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and all of a sudden he became 13, 14, and he grew up. The fellow was Dennis Pietrantonio. I can't tell you so much about him right now because I want him to do this, but he had to start with his grandfather. Grandfather was an entertainer in the Boston area and all over New England and even California and New York. Dennis, it's nice to have you aboard today, and we're going to be on here for a good hour, and we're going to get your life story. So start off with when you were 6 years old.
Thank you, George. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, when I was 6, we were living in South Boston, and I was offered to play Yankee Doodle in the Yankee Doodle Dandy play for the Spirit
At 6 years old?
Yes, 1976, Spirit of 76 bicentennial. And you know, that was my first time entertaining a crowd, and at 6, it was pretty cool. And then as I got older, I knew I liked it, and from my grandfather being an entertainer.
Yeah, who was your grandfather? I didn't give the name. But
my grandfather was, his name was Pietrantonio, and he was born in 1913 in Italy and brought here to America. And right from the get-go, he was an entertainer. He was into the juggling, the guitars and the banjos, and he was the original founding member of the Variety Artists Guild, which basically means it was a kind of like the SAG union now for the actors, but it was for entertainers. He made sure that they got their dues and their right pay and stuff, and it was the early stages of pretty much like the Screen Actors Guild now. You know, growing up with my grandfather, my father always instilled that you know, you could be somebody big and you could be important in this world. You know, don't be a bum, and don't be, you know, like have you know, good aspirations, and you make something of your life. And when I was growing up, I was in a lot of sports and stuff, and yeah, I got in trouble. You know, young group. You know, you get in a little trouble here and there, but I was never really that bad, and I always had the entertainment.
But your dad, we were very good friends. Your dad, he was a community activist. He did more things for people. I can recall when he came to me when I was a city councilor and asked for a motocross track for the little kids, and I said, "What's a motocross track?" And he explained it to me. So we got him some land in the back of the city high school, and he built that track and called me the day that we cut the ribbon, and I was amazed. And you were there then, but you were only I guess 12-year-old there at that time.
Yeah, it was 30 years ago this month.
That track opened. And folks, when we said motocross, it was bicycles, little tricycles for the little guys and two-wheelers for the big kids. Yeah. And they would go down a hill between tires and race on time, not just to see if they could beat each other, just time. And that's where I met your dad. Great guy.
Yeah,
guy.
Great memories. And
so he's proud of you, believe me. He passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, we lost him in '05. But, you know, the night that he passed away, he had said to me, you know, my time is pretty much done here on this earth, but as you continue on in your life, you know, try to, you know, make your mother proud and do the right thing. And he knows I like entertaining people, so he said, go on with entertaining people. And you know, you've been out in Hollywood for many years, and you're living the dream life. But if you like, you know, pursue, he saw saw in me as his son, you know, I had potential, and I had the entertainment in me from my grandfather. I have my grandfather's genes, and you know, I pretty much pursued my dream since the day my father died in August of '05. I have since been in 19 movies.
But when you were in high school, you were in a few of the musicals that played at the high school.
Yeah, when I was 6, I did the Yankee Doodle Dandy. Then when I was 12, I was Danny Zuko in the play Grease at the Ashfield School in my town. And it was kind of cool to, be the lead and the star and have everybody kind of pay attention to you. And
you weren't nervous on stage at all?
Not really, not really. There was a couple of girls in the audience that I was wanting to impress and stuff, and I think I did. But it was definitely, when I was 6 and when I was 12, then there was years in between. That's when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, and I lost track of that, aspiration of being an entertainer. But luckily today I'm living the dream that I've always wanted to do, and my father saw it ahead of time, and my grandfather obviously was wishing all his grandkids were in the entertainment business. But well,
let me tell the folks this one here because I think it's very interesting. I had a television show in the city, and I knew your dad for many years and helped me with my campaign. And we were friends. He said, my boy's in California. And I said, what's he doing? He said, well, he's trying to get a part in movies. And I said, really? I said, gee, if he ever comes home to the town, let me know and we'll interview him on TV. So one night my show was on, and who comes walking in, folks? It was Dennis and a fellow named Plummer.
Glenn
Plummer.
Yeah.
Now tell the folks who Glenn Plummer is, or Plummer, and the first movie he was in that I saw previous to you walking into the studio was Speed.
Yes, he was in Speed 1 and 2.
And who was the young lady who's a great actor today who was in that movie with him?
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. It was an amazing movie. It was about someone on a bus, and the bad guy in there was a great actor too. Can't think of his name, but it was a bus that was being overtaken by
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
Yes.
And
great movie.
And he walked in with Plummer and yourself, and he signed a movie, and he gave me Speed.
Yeah, he gave me the movie.
Yeah, and then you went back to Hollywood.
He had a really good time out here, in Boston area, and he had a great time on that show. That was really, really nice, and we thank you for that.
It was only a public access, but it was
nice.
Public access is one way to get to the local people and let you know what's going on in the community.
I love public access because it's pretty much your community, and people get to see what people are doing in their community or from their community, and I think it's very positive that people doing different shows and different things.
Listen, when I saw this picture here, I said, well, gee, I didn't know you were a police officer. Tell me about the picture I saw. And we have many of his movies here, they're stills, but they're so interesting. It really is. I feel good about it, Dennis.
Yeah, I've excuse me. I've actually played a cop twice. Most recently was in The Equalizer, Columbia Pictures. It's
who was the lead in that one?
Denzel Washington.
There you go.
And I got to do a scene with Denzel, and it was pretty cool because I actually had met him years ago at Stevie Wonder's birthday party and spent some time with him talking about his career and how I was from Boston, and we hit it off and took some great pictures. And when I got cast to play a cop in the movie, I wasn't sure how I was going to interact.
He was a police officer. I mean, he was a detective in that movie.
No. He's a regular citizen.
Oh, okay.
I'm the police officer that interacts with him in the scene, but it was kind of nice to work with Denzel. It was he's a 2-time Oscar winner, and it was definitely one of the highlights of my career. Working with him, working with Denzel. That was my last project last month. Adam Sandler, I've worked with twice. I met him in '09. I met him in California also, and I met him in 2009, and on Melrose Avenue, with his wife and his daughter. And again, I took a nice picture with him, and I had told him that I'd love to work with you someday. And then 2 years later, I got cast to be in the wedding for That's My Boy, And there's Adam, and it was kind of nice.
And who was your dad in that movie? Was it your dad?
Tony Orlando.
Tony Orlando
was the father of the bride.
So we have some
groom.
pictures here that we could show. Why don't we take them one at a time and make it easier for the public?
That's it's me and Adam. That's on the second movie that we worked together. That would be Grown Ups 2. That's coming out July 12th. I've been waiting for a year for July 12th. But yeah, that's a picture of us right there, right after the wrap of the movie, which pretty much when they say cut, that's it. They actually he yelled out Martini at the end, which Martini is the last scene of the movie, the last cut, the last take. And I was actually on the set for that, and I was actually in the scene, which was pretty cool. And then after that, I got to sit down with Adam and talk to him for a little while, and I thanked him for that opportunity. For being in 2 movies with him, not 1 but 2.
I mentioned to you when we came into the studio today that yesterday, which was Sunday, down in Daytona Beach at the races, that Sandler got up before they started the races and sang the song that's in the movie to the audience of 100,000 or so.
Nice.
And what was the name of the song? You mentioned it out in the studio.
I'm not sure. It might have been a song from the Jay Giles Band, because I know they're featured in the movie, so it might have been them, but I'm not sure. I'm not familiar because I didn't see the race yesterday.
Yeah, that's great.
But he's been doing a lot of press lately, the Jimmy Kimmel's and David Letterman's
I've seen
and stuff.
him. Yeah.
He's very funny on all them shows, and he's he definitely he put a lot into this movie. This is the first sequel that he's done, the first part 2, from Grown Ups 1 to now Grown Ups 2.
I'm going to show you another picture, folks, of him now.
That was the night that we met, actually, in 2009. And he's wearing a Jets jacket, and when I saw the Jets jacket, I was kind of pointing to the Jets jacket.
Yeah.
I was like, you should be wearing a Patriots jacket.
Yeah, well, that's good for competition.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so we're just going through. This is one I brought in from home that Dennis gave me. Can you name them off, Dan?
Well, that was in December at the Joe Andruzzi Foundation, the gala they had at Foxborough. And that's Lenny Clark, who I actually got to work with Lenny Clark on Clear History, the HBO Larry David film. I did some stand-in. I did 2 days acting on it. And that's Milan Lucic from the Bruins. And then you got Joe Andruzzi over there on the left. And Joe Andruzzi's a great guy. It was actually I was invited to the time, and it was actually it was really nice to see all the old players.
Yeah,
and I met
you
Robert
in the middle.
Kraft. Yeah, that's me there.
There you go. And the fellow on the end was
that's Lenny Clark, and I believe that's Minkovitz or something. Yeah, Lenny Clark.
Yeah,
great actor, funny comedian, Boston guy. a lot of fun. He was really nice.
Very good. Very
And when he saw me, he grabbed me and rushed me in for that picture, which was really nice.
The show is Life is Good, folks, and what we're trying to tell the young people in this world today who think that everything is music and everything is, I love music, you know that. But you build a foundation. You have to have a direction to go. Your grandfather gave you the direction, whether you knew it or not, through your dad.
Yeah, my father instilled it in me.
Instilled in you that try to be like your grandfather, or if you did something wrong, your grandfather wouldn't have liked it. So you had that embedded in your mind. Then you said, maybe I should try show business. And you did. And that's the cornerstone. It's just got a little cement on it now. I can tell by the movies that you're doing, a little at a time, that
Yep.
You're building a career. And nothing will stop you because you love it. And people get a kick out of seeing you locally. And then as you get around Providence and Boston and down the Cape, and back to California or New York. Here's the picture of the one you were just telling me about.
It's a 80s theme party, and we're all 80s characters.
You know them by name?
Well, Twisted Sister, you have Huey Lewis, Sheena Easton, Metallica, and then you got me as Billy Ray. And
that's all movie actors that are people should be aware of when they go to the movie.
They did an amazing job on all the hair and makeup and stuff. I'm sure everybody's going to love the movie, and the costumes were amazing.
This is amazing. Tell me who that fellow is with you, Dennis.
That's Tony Orlando, from Tony Orlando and Dawn. And
you played his son in the movie.
No.
Not this one?
No, yeah, no. The movie was Donnie's Boy.
John, yeah.
Originally, it was called I Hate You, Dad. But it was That's My Boy. That's My Boy. It was Donnie's Boy, and it was I Hate You, Dad. They changed it all the ways up to That's My Boy. But that's Tony Orlando. He was the father of the groom.
Oh, I see. You got a little flower in the...
Yeah, he actually wore that. You know, in the weddings they wear them, and he gave it to me, and I put it right inside the picture.
Right inside. Yeah, I can recall cool. This guy. I'll tell you, that was...
Yeah, he was amazing. I really connected with him on the set. He, what an amazing man, Tony Orlando. He was a great guy.
Way back. Yeah, he was something I can relate to because of the era. Listen, I have another one here. I think it's great too. You played the double for this fella. He actually played Tony Orlando's son in the movie also, Peter Dante. But I did a photo double for him, which basically means you take the actor in his full wardrobe, and they get somebody that looks like him, and they dress him up and put the hair and makeup and make him look exactly like him, and do different scenes with him without using the main actor. Yeah, that's amazing.
I got to do that same thing in Grown Ups 2. I was Dickie Bailey's photo double. So it's two Adam Sandler movies and two doubles. And
now, what about the? You mentioned that it's a 13. The ship, the cruise ship.
Ocean's 13.
Ocean's 13. You were in that also.
Yes.
Is that in here?
No, Ocean's 13 was my first.
Way back.
Yeah, my first major movie that I got casted in, and I pretty much was at a party in Hollywood, and a guy came up and said, you know, I think you have a good look, and you want to be in a movie with Brad Pitt. And I was like, sure.
Yeah, sure.
So the next day I was on the set.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's
great experience.
Now here's one. You look like a police officer here.
That's from R.I.P.D. That is going to be released worldwide July 19th. And I play a Boston cop and a SWAT officer in that.
That's something, huh?
Yeah, those are...
You got some good memories there, Dennis, and you're still a young
fella. Great experience.
Who's in the box?
That'd be Ryan Reynolds.
It was not really, but that's the one that they shot, I guess. Huh?
Yes.
Now, folks, this is the... every time I look at him, I think of not Tony Bennett, but going way further back. He looks like a singer. There should be a singer, but he's an entertainer.
He was an entertainer. He, if you see the picture down on the bottom there, he's very sharply dressed, and even in that, he's wearing a tuxedo.
Yeah.
You know, he was an entertainer, and he was very generous to people and dressed really classy. He's one of the most famous guys from South Boston back in the day.
Community act, like your dad.
Yeah.
Your dad was a
Bloomstrom's he used to entertain at, but he used to go down to Florida, Vegas. He was actually friends with Perry Como and Peter Falk, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra. He was
the old crowd.
Yeah, the old crowd. He was he had a great reputation with all of them.
It's all building up to you being in the movies. Somebody mentioned Frank Sinatra. He said, "Oh, my uncle knew him. I mean, my grandfather knew him, and they were friends." Amazing. All right, here's another one, folks. Wow, this is right on set. It's right on the set. Yeah.
That's a short that I did called My Father's Son, and I was playing a mafioso.
Oh, bad guy.
Bad guy, and but it was actually pretty cool. It came out really nice. And it's independent films. I mean, independent film festivals, and yeah, that was.
Where was that set? It looks like
that was in Boston, and
I see you standing here with.
Yeah, he's about to get whacked.
Then?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm going to put it down.
We double-crossed him.
I don't want to be part of.
But well, movies. People write scripts and their imaginations go wild sometimes, and that was a great little script, and it was basically to feature our acting abilities, our facial expressions and stuff, and it really came out.
I got to get you in a Western or something like that with a Clint Eastwood.
I'd love to be in a Western. Definitely would love to play a cowboy. Either
cowboy.
A sheriff or a bad cowboy or a good cowboy, but I would wear the black hat or the white hat.
The white hat, yeah. Well, what would you tell the young folks today that have some sort of an idea what they want to do, Dennis?
Well, see, I noticed that a lot of people don't really know what they want to do with their life, and then time starts passing, and then they wish they had joined the service, or they wish they wish they had been a mailman or a fireman, or nobody wants to wake up and say I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, and then not have it happen. Like you have to put a little work in, a little time, and if you have a thought of what you want to be or what you want to do, put a lot of work into it and think it, and then you start living it, and your dreams come true. And that's what's happening with me.
And it starts off like a little bit of smoke, and
starts off like a little seed, and it grows, But where I'm at right now with the movies, I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited about where my life is heading.
And what I want to explain to the folks, you don't have to go looking anymore. They call you.
Yeah, it took some work to get to that point.
Of course.
And but I do know that there's a lot of people out there that still don't know what they want to do in their life, and entertainment there's characters everywhere you look. Everywhere you look around, you can see someone that looks like somebody, or they could be somebody, But it takes the individual to to blossom it. With me, I was in California, so it was a little bit easier. I was around the entertainment business and around actors and movie stars and actresses, and being around those people, I started saying, you know what, I'm going to get back into this, and I gradually, got my feet in the water. And
what you're saying, Dennis, is not everybody wants to be a movie star or star in the movies. They might want to be a doctor, a dentist, a police officer, fireman, but you've got to set your feet on the ground. You can't wait, I'm going to have my fun now, because that fun time, you could have fun, but kind of work it off into degrees, because you need education, number one, whether you end up a school teacher, which is a fine position. You can talk to many people who say, gee, I didn't know what I wanted till a later date, but it was too late. And you just can't get into the stream of things. But have your young folks say, they're walking down the street with little games and playing. There's so much there for them to learn by, that plan something, get your feet set, and work towards it. That's all. I just can't repeat. I didn't know that I was going to go through my lifetime. I worked 35 years with a company, and I retired at 55, and I got into a city council position for 18 years, the mayor's assistant, football coach at Southeastern Regional, chaired the chairman of the advisory board, and this is not bragging, and I keep going. And
you've
now
had a great
I
life.
entertain myself, and I enjoy doing it. I haven't had anybody throw anything at me yet, but I do singing, and I keep happy that way. When I look at Tony Bennett and I say he's still singing, and he's 80-something, and I'm saying I'm going to still sing until the good Lord wants me. And I enjoy doing it. But let's get back to you, because this kind of reminded me that, life is not 300 years old. How old is that? What were you doing there? Let me show this.
That was, that's on the set of Gilded Lilies.
That's a hearse with horses.
That's an old hearse from the 1800s. I believe that carriage was around 1850. Wow. And it's original. That gentleman there came in from Connecticut. That was filmed right there in South Boston. They have studios there in South Boston now. But that gentleman right there came in with like 20 carriages, and they're all his own carriages and his own.
And who's carrying the bag?
That's me. I'm playing a doctor.
You're a doctor in
That's
that movie.
1895.
That's
it's supposed
great.
to be 1895, which it's kind of nice.
What memories?
When you work on a film and it's a timepiece, And if it's the 60s and you got everybody dressed up as the 60s, if you got it's the 70s, we dress up in the 70s, like in the grown-ups when I dress up as the 80s, and that's 1895. So it was kind of nice to wear the old clothes.
It's amazing how they put a movie on. Really, it is. It's amazing.
And the clothes that we wore for Gilded Lilies was the clothes that that it came from
Derbies
the set,
and,
but it came from the set of Titanic, from the film Titanic.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of nice.
Yeah,
to
because
wear.
that was an era that the Titanic was.
Yeah, they showed us how to walk in the 1895s. They used to walk straight ahead. They weren't in a big, they just kind of went to go somewhere. They weren't in a big rush. They weren't in a hurry.
Not like today.
So they just kind of walked straight shoulders and stuff. But I learned a lot filming that. It was really nice. My first time with a green screen also.
Folks, I got to show you this one here. I'm trying to read what's on the top of his hat, Dennis. Let me do this first. That looks like the U.S. Is that a Navy hat?
I think so.
Yeah. This is one here, Dennis, and tell me who that is, Dennis?
That would be Denzel Washington.
Excellent actor. Excellent.
Great actor, great guy.
Had so many parts. I've seen all his movies. He had to start somewhere, and when I remembered his story, was the gangs.
St. Elsewhere, I think, was his first show. St. Elsewhere.
But he's played every part there was. The last movie that I hadn't seen he was a pilot in
Flight.
Flight.
Yes.
Can't believe it.
But great guy. It was an honor to work with him. He's pretty much sets the banner pretty high. When you work with Denzel. Makes you feel pretty good.
He'll stop in the middle and say, "Listen, let's do that over again," because it wasn't up to snuff.
Yeah, he's
right.
good.
All right, now who do we have here?
That there would be Donnie Wahlberg. That was the opening of the Wahlburgers restaurant in Hingham. They opened their own restaurant, and that's Donnie and Mark Wahlberg's brother. You know Mark?
Yeah, he's the one that was in the movie. Was it a movie?
Which one?
Oh, no, I'm not thinking of a movie. I'm thinking of the fellow that played...
he was the Funky Bunch, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah, that's the one.
But he's doing really well with the movies.
This one here, folks, you might recognize the fellow.
That would be Mickey O'Keefe. I worked with him on Here Comes the Boom, which I actually got to work with Henry Winkler, which was awesome to work with. Henry Winkler was my idol growing up, so I got to work with my idol. But he's in The Fighter. He
was a police officer, wasn't he?
Yes, police officer
in the movie.
In the movie, yes. I think he was actually really a police officer in real life too.
Oh, and he
retired Lowell police officer who got the part as the trainer, Mickey Ward's trainer.
Mickey, what was his last name?
Mickey Ward.
Oh yeah, what a fighter he was. But that fellow's playing in the movie now. I mentioned it to you. It's
Two Guns.
Two Guns.
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, he actually co-stars with Denzel in that.
That's great. That's great. Well, listen, we've got 28 more minutes to do. What do you plan on doing? You can't plan anything, folks, for the future. You can think about it. The past is what happened. Those are memories, and tomorrow we don't know. So, but what would you like to be? You're going back to Hollywood?
Well, I've been back twice already this year.
But they're making movies on the East Coast now.
Yeah, I've worked on 5 movies this year. 8 movies last year and 4 the year before, and that's all in Boston. I did all the other movies, the 4 other movies I've done in California. But there's a lot of work out here, and
down the Cape too. I understand.
I filmed down in Osterville. The wedding scene, and That's My Boy, was down in Osterville. But I'm kind of excited right now because this week I have the Grown Ups 2 coming out that I got to work on. And I did some like stunts in that movie.
That's this week, is right? It's the 12th.
Yeah. But I did some stunts in the movie, and I did some really amazing scenes that, luckily, with the commercials and the trailers and the teasers coming out, I get to see myself and see everybody else that I got to work with.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about it. The following week, R.I.P.D., Jeff Bridges, Kevin Bacon, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges is in that one. Yeah.
James Hong, who was a great guy. I got to work on that, and that was a great experience. That comes out the following week, July 19th. And then there's a few, like a month, we're going to be down, but then all the other movies I started working on. The independent film Daedalus should be released to the public. And I'm hoping on the Hatfields and McCoys. I worked on the Hatfields and McCoys this year. I played a Hatfield, and I'm hoping that gets picked up. We did a pilot, which a pilot's like the first episode, and if they like it, they give more money to continue it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But
we'll be back type show. Yeah, we'll be back. Yeah.
But in April and March, I actually worked on what I consider my favorite movie.
I was going to ask you that.
The David O. Russell project, which it's called American Hustle. It's got Robert De Niro, Christian Bale, Amy Adams, Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, and that was an amazing experience working on that film. It's coming out Christmas Eve, and just in time for the Oscars. But I had some amazing experiences. I got to work with some great actors. The director was amazing, and as far as I'm concerned, it was probably one of my favorite movies. It's pretty much my favorite movie I've got to act in, next to Grown Ups too.
Well, I was going to talk about your girlfriend that I met, not a girlfriend, a friend, that was going to school down the Cape.
No, she was going to Brown.
Brown?
Yeah.
She was working...
she was going down to Woods Hole because she was on the doctoral program, which basically they shipped her over there to study there.
And now she's back in?
Yeah, she got her PhD, and she got a job offer in Okinawa, Japan, and she went back to Japan, which is good for her.
But she told me before she left, and you were with her, I think, that she hopefully would like to come back to this country and work, whether she's got a doctorate now?
Yes. Yep.
Which is wonderful. She's a smart little girl.
Smart. One of the smartest women probably the smartest woman I ever met, you know.
Hey, that's not easy, you know.
But we had we had a long talk, and she had an offer and option.
Yeah, well, Dad and Mom wanted
to go back home and to go back to her country, and to all the stuff that she learned here in America, she could bring back to her country and help advance her.
Well, she just told me that she would like to see you do a movie in Japan, which a lot of American people go to Japan and work on a few movies and then come back, and they do the same thing. Yeah. But I said, well, why don't you work on it? She's a great girl. She's really a good girl. But who knows? You take one day at a time. Today's today, tomorrow, who knows?
Who knows?
So you could get a call, listen, we'd like to see you in California. We're going to take you to Japan. Every time I think of that movie, King Kong, when the first
Godzilla?
one, but King Kong, the first movie, where they went to the island, and I'll tell you, I was so interested in the movies because it was so far out of this country type of thing, you know, the city business and the countryside. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Classic.
But movies are wonderful. They take, no matter what problems you might have, turn on a movie and somewhere, or go to a movie house and see one, a show. We used to call them movie houses, now they call them cinemas and theaters and the whole bit. But they still show you, takes you right out of this world, right out of this world. You can be anything you want. When I was a kid, Dennis, I used to have 4 brothers, 1 sister, and 3 of us slept in the same bed. And I was the youngest. And my brothers would go to sleep, and I'd write on my forehead, India, or China, or Texas. And I'd go to sleep, and I'd be there. I don't know how I did it. But the mind is so great. And that's why I say develop it. It's a muscle. And I would talk about this a lot when I do a show, that the kids have so much in electronics that they can figure out millions of numbers and this, and look up shows and countries and everything. They got to keep the brain active, and to get it to stay like an arm muscle. If you let it go, it gets soft. And don't be, use the equipment that we have today, but don't let that overpower you. Oh, I don't have to do this kind of a job. I can go to the computer, or I can go to the telephone. You can get the moon out there, and it'll turn for you. It's amazing. but keep the brain active. And you're doing that. And you're working at it.
Well, you know,
and hopefully my head isn't getting any bigger, but I enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. You've been doing this a long time.
Yep.
I'm honored to be here, and I appreciate you, you know, offering me to do the show with you.
Well, when you came into town, I said, gee, I know I had an Attleboro show. I didn't know whether to do some painting or some singing or something that I have a few little things. I said, my father said to me when we were young, learn everything you can because you'll never know when you're going to be out of a job.
Yeah.
And he used to tell all the brothers that, and God bless them, they did very well in their lifetimes. I mean, they had goals. I had a brother Ed that ended up as a doctor. Joe was a welder, ended up owning his old welding shop. My brother Angelo ran Bohack stores in Brooklyn, New York. And my brother Al, who loved singing, but ended up in California as a vice president of Moss Twist Drills, bigger than Germany back in the 40s as far as manufacturing was concerned. Wow. So I all did well, and I did well. I had played a lot of ball and everything, and I said, hey, get that foundation going. So I went to art school, graduated from school in Boston, Westwood George School of Art, got into the art business, got with Sears Roebuck and Company, and I had 35 years with them, and still working. Yeah. So listen, I don't know, we got 20 minutes to go, but what is your goal now? You've got your movies under your belt, and you got friends in California, or you movie people that you know, directors that you know. Do you go out looking for work now, or do you wait?
They pretty much call me now. There's auditions and stuff. You know, there's a lot. You have to put a lot of work into this. You have to keep your pitches up to date, and you have to keep. I try to keep physically fit, which I believe it helps me with my acting.
Great. Yeah.
I've done my own stunts in some movies, and a lot of people can't do that, you know. But I'll pretty much swing from a tree. I'll jump from a building. I've been hit by cars. I've picked people up and threw them around, and I've done some good stuff in some movies. It's good to be in shape.
Yeah.
But my goals now are I'm in the IMDb system, which is it's for all the entertainers, the directors, producers, actors, lightings, grips.
Oh, that's
everybody are all on IMDb, and I try to get my ranking down, and I have a lot of likes and a lot of people supporting that. It's my acting. It's kind of like the Actors Hub, But I have fans pretty much in probably every different country in the world now, which is amazing to me.
That's great.
I get recognized a lot now, and it's so nice to hear someone say,
"Hey, I've seen you in."
This is my actor, movie actor friend, and he's doing great, and or I've seen him in this and I've seen him in that, and it's kind of nice. I like that.
That's part of show.
I like leaving my mark here, and I like doing good work. I'm practicing, and I put a lot of time into it. It doesn't, some people it comes naturally, but it's a hard, it's hard to convince somebody that you're someone else. You
put in more than 8 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah. So, but I do have a lot of goals still. I don't want to stop yet. Down the line, as an actor, the best acting class is being right there in a movie filming with the whole crew and everything, And I've learned so much over the 20 movies that I've acted in now. And I'd like to down the line, I've done some writing, and I'd like to, eventually produce, possibly direct, and, but I'm still right now working on the lead roles. I'm working on trying to, be the main guy, and I want to be, I like being the guy over here, but I like to be the guy right in the middle in the center stage, But, you got to work your way up, and, I've had a few lead roles and a few big parts, and, but I will, like you said before, I'm willing to take the regular roles and little roles, because it's adding up and it builds, and it's stepping stones.
And you have your friends. That Plummer was a great guy. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, Glenn is world famous.
How many movies has he done now so far?
Wow, probably about 175 movies.
Yeah,
but it was nice because when I had met him when I was with I was with Glenn when I met Denzel, and And when I worked with Denzel, he said, "How's Glenn?" You know, which was kind of nice. You know, years later, he remembered Glenn because Glenn's, you know, and he did say when he saw Glenn, "Hey, this guy right here, he'll take any part." You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
Yeah, but Denzel, you know, when I just worked with him, that, like I said, it was
a feeling
that showed me that I'm actually, like, I'm not only doing what I love and what my passion's for, and, you know, my desires to be a big actor, but I'm starting to work with the best. And working with the best, it's making me feel better about how I act and how this is the right choice for me to be in.
And you're still on that right direction. That's good. That's what keeps you going. And there's movies coming out constantly. They're coming out, and someday somebody's going to say, "Want you to play a Western, fella." So,
well, there's a few actors that I'd love to work with. Like, I'd like to work with Matt Dillon. I'd like to work with Val Kilmer. Who else? You know, there's a couple
they say you look a little like Val Kilmer.
I heard I look like Val Kilmer, and I heard I look like John Travolta, and every day I look like somebody different. But I'm Dennis Pietrantonio, and that's who I am, and that's who I'll always be. I'm just trying to build my career up, and I appreciate being on this show today. Hopefully, some people now know who I am, and
well, I appreciate having you on. This is a great studio to do community activity from, and I think as long as the people locally know that it's available, if you have something you'd like to show people, whether it's an art or music or public access is wonderful, and this is a wonderful.
I'm honored to be here.
Good. Good.
You know, my twin sister Diana lives right down the street, and I'm hoping that she gets to watch the show. I hope the people that watch it get to enjoy it and get entertained. Well, I like to entertain.
No action in it. We don't arm wrestle or anything. We just sit and talk. But I thought you'd make an interesting guest, and
thank you.
You have been. It's to let the young people know that, because when I speak, they say, "Well, yeah, okay, we've heard that before," or anything.
Well, you know, speaking of the young people, like there's a lot of wasted, there's a lot of, there's nothing worse than wasted talent. And if you feel that you could be good at something, but there's something else that's making you not put so much attention into that thing that you could be good at and you enjoy doing, then you might want to get rid of some of those.
Yeah, it's you've had your fun with it, like toys sometimes.
Negative friends, negative family members, or negative people, negative places. You want to try to keep it all positive, and you want to be around good people. The better people you're around, the better it makes yourself. I learned that from my father. You know, my father saw me with the bad kids. He'd say, "Dennis, leave them alone. They're not going to go nowhere." And he was actually right, most of the time.
But he had, not to get away from you, but your dad in the city had issues that were not just his issues. Streets and stop signs and foot of one of the streets in Brockton, there's 5-way intersection. And he came up to me one day and he said, "We should have there's a 5-way intersection just down below us." I said, "I know, there's been accidents down there." He said, "What are you going to do about it?" And I said, "Well, I think we should go to the mayor's office and we'll go from there." And we did. And today, that street, about 9 streets in the bad areas for driving, have been taken care of. But there are many things. He was a pillar at the church. He would give his time.
There's solutions to all the problems, as long as you know what the problem is. You just got to find the solution. But my father did like to, he instilled a lot of that volunteer. I volunteer now at the Historical Society in my city. And, I go up there and cut the grass and do all that stuff. And I do that because my father would have did that.
Yeah.
And my father and mother were honored by the Historical Society in my town for having the BMX track for the kids.
I remember.
Volunteerism, communityism and stuff. So I feel like, that's my father and that's my mother. I return the favor, and I go up there every couple of weeks, and I go up there and I cut the whole grass and take care of it all. And I feel good about that. That's me giving back and bringing back something to my community.
Very good, Dennis.
And a lot of people don't do things like that. And a lot of people say, why would you want to volunteer? What are you crazy? What are you volunteering for? Why? Because I feel good when I do it. I feel good before I do it. I feel good while I'm doing it, and I feel good after I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I never, you know, I'll never not do it because of any other reasons other than I can't do it if I'm not available. But if I'm available, you know, I like to try to give back.
Well, that's the way your dad was. I'll tell you, he was a wonderful guy, and I could tell you he used to drop in to see my wife and tell her things that maybe you can get this to your husband. And when I'd see him, I'd say, "Hey, Bill, how come you never told me?" Well, I thought maybe she'd kind of ease it to you, and you could do something. When I tell you, you get, you know, a little excited about it. And I say, no. We were at a candidates night one night, and I was on stage, he was out front, and he hollered out to, not the people didn't know that he was a friend of mine. "What are you going to do about the traffic situation on such and such a street?" And I said, you know, that's a good point. He wasn't a shill. They call them shills, people who throw things. But he was really interested.
Because he knew you were going to do the right thing and take care of it.
Knowing that he didn't put me on the spot, but I knew about that, and I said, we'll get together with it, not with you, but with the mayor. And of course, the mayor is the final approval on monies to go certain areas. But we did. There were so many things that he would instigate that weren't bad. They were for the community. Playgrounds, Little League fields, the church, and the bicycle.
BMX track,
that. And he was so proud when I had him on one of my TV shows when he brought his nephew from California.
Yeah, my nephew.
He brought more trophies into that studio.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all over the place, and he was only, how old was he at the time?
5
or 6. He won those big trophies, bigger than him, some of them.
Yeah, some of them were like that.
Yeah.
Christopher.
Christopher. Little blonde kid, never forget him. But that's the way your dad was. He was community activist, I call him it. Somebody had a bad tree, cut the branch off for him, you know, so it wouldn't be overhanging in the yard. So many little things. To him, they were something for the community.
Well, I know, you know, I spend a lot of time with my mother now, and she says a lot of times, "Oh, your father would be happy about that. Your father would be proud of you and stuff." And that makes me feel good. He's not alive, but his spirit's still with me. And I'll tell you, George, a lot of times when I'm on them sets, I feel his presence, I feel his energy, I feel he's there. And then all of a sudden, I'm in front of the camera and the lights and cameras and everything, and I feel there's. I'll tell you a quick story. In 2007, I was in the movie Street Kings, and on my first day on the set, I walk in and I park the car. I walk down. A van pulls up. I jump in the van. Takes me to the set. I see Keanu Reeves over there eating a bowl of cereal. Forrest Whitaker, Hugh Laurie, everybody's having, it's just about 5 of us, you know. And I got into I played Internal Affairs officer, and I got into my Internal Affairs gear and went up to the set, and then I couldn't believe it. I was ready to do a scene with Forrest Whitaker and Keanu Reeves and Hugh Laurie, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I took a quick moment to, like, you know, say, thank you, Dad, you know, thank you for this opportunity. I looked up and I blessed myself, and I look over and I see Hugh Laurie, and Hugh Laurie looked at me and he winked and he blessed himself too, and he looked up and
he did the same thing.
He did the same thing, and he didn't know that I was saying, "Dad, thank you," and he must have just thought I was talking to God or something. But it was kind of cool that you know, I had that moment with Hugh Laurie. He saw me thanking my father, and when the movie came out, you know, Hugh Laurie had, in the LA Times, he had said how it was a dream come true for him, you know, a guy from Oxford, England, to come to America and be in a big movie and to play a cop and with all these other stars. And it was like a dream come true for him, and it was like a dream come true for me too.
That's right.
So we had that little connection there. And but I do know that my father, he was a local 25 Teamster, and all the Teamsters are on the sets. And again, when I see those Teamsters, again, it makes me feel good, and I always say hi to them, and I go out of my way a lot of times to say hi to them.
Yeah, that's part of the association with your dad.
Yeah, because it's, you know, if my father had still been around, he might have been working on them sets too, and like I could have been bumping into him.
Great.
You know, he would love that.
Yeah.
But I do know that when I do these movies, I'm put in situations where there's hundreds and thousands of people all involved, and it's just coming down to me and, you know, another actor or actress and the camera.
That's right.
And I feel that my father would be very proud of me for the fact that I'm that guy in front of that camera with that superstar at that moment. And my father, you know, would have been proud of me for that.
You know what I think I mentioned to you before, we got about 6 minutes ago. At my age, with all the knowledge that I have about an awful lot of things, when I do some singing, I have to have a monitor in front of me, you know, like karaoke.
Yeah.
And I don't stare at it, but it's a crutch. How do you learn to do all that remembering, along with the acting part? Say you're a bad guy in a movie.
The lines?
The lines. How do you do that?
Well, a lot of, you have to,
Tell
like,
the kids
if you know the script and you already have a general idea of the whole concept of what the film is supposed to be, and you got to remember, a script is like someone's mind racing, and they write it down, and
That's
you
right.
know, they come up with an idea and a script, and it takes a lot of time, but so when it's their dream as you know, the director, the producer, you know, everybody has
A dream.
their dream to make this movie come together, da da da. So when you get your lines, and whatever your lines are, you become that character. And as you become that character, the more you're into that character, the more you're feeling it, the more you know. You
go in front of a mirror sometimes.
Yeah, and you could kind of like when I like play like hee wimpy guys, you know, but when I'm serious, I'm really serious. You know what I mean? Like you can get into the character, and then the lines, I just, you know, like I've said this to you years ago during an interview. You read them over and over. You memorize them. You're the other person. You're yourself. You kind of play them both, and you figure out what's best, and then hopefully during the rehearsal it comes together nice. And when they say action, you don't mess up. You know, of course you can make people make mistakes.
Oh sure.
And there's different, you know, and then after
Well,
like the first.
My problem is that I know of singers that go around the country singing probably 10 songs. They'll start off in Boston and they'll go to New York. They sing those 10 songs all the way across country and even come back with those 10 songs. But Dennis, without a word of a lie, I must not remember all the words, but I do probably 42 songs and when I do my entertaining. No break in between, no coffee break, no intermission. I sing without 42, and the next time I go, it might be 2 days from there, I have 42 more different songs. And over a period of a month's time, I might do probably 600 songs.
Wow.
And if I try to remember, Frank Sinatra used to say, he'd turn the page of a book because his voice was what they wanted to hear. And someone said to him, and I told you what happened, we were in Boston and I saw Frank Sinatra for the first time come off stage. He had a monitor in front of him, way back in the 40s. And I come off and I said to him as a young fellow who had pep, and I said to him, "You read the monitor, Mr. Sinatra?" And he looked up at me. He wasn't a tall fellow. He says, "Hey, boy, do you know 2,000 songs by heart?" I said, "No." And he said, "Neither do I." And he walked off, and I'll never forget that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Frank Sinatra at the Bradford Hotel.
Wow.
But there he was every once in a while. But I know what he was doing. If he didn't like a word in a song, he would change it. And I do that.
Yeah,
like when I sing the Lady is a Tramp, Frank Sinatra song, I put in The Lady is a Champ. And they said, "Isn't that Tramp, George?" I said, "I don't like the word."
You don't like the word.
You know, she don't play with the earls and pearls, and doesn't go to Harlem with ermines and pearls.
Yeah.
I changed that.
Change
you
it
know?
up a little
And
bit.
even when I do the song Delilah, there's a part in there that says, I had and I change it to a loaf of bread sometimes. "The knife in my hand, she laughed no more." I don't like to put that in.
You don't like
Who's
that.
out in the audience that might be hearing that?
Yeah.
So I change it.
So you make the
Two or
negative
three of
into
the
a
people
positive.
pick it up. Yeah. And but that's what I do, and I have a lot of songs. But anyhow, getting back to you, we got 2 minutes to go. What do you want to tell the TV audience?
Just
Can they see you on a computer, or if they go to the computer?
Yeah, I have an IMDb page, Dennis Pietrantonio at IMDb. I have a fan page, actor Dennis Pietrantonio. I have another fan page, fans of Dennis Pietrantonio.
Well, get the word off your off the credits.
I have a few fan pages and stuff. I have, like I said, I have a lot of people rooting for me, friends, family, strangers.
Oh yeah.
You know, on the Facebook and the media nowadays, it's all computers and stuff. And you know, luckily, I have a good support group and a lot of people rooting for me. And you know, as long as I have fans and people wanting to see me do good, it's making me feel good and making me know that what I'm doing is for a reason. My mother's proud, my family's proud, my friends are proud.
Right. I'm proud of you too.
Thank you, George.
Listen, I just want to say to the public access here in Attleboro that thank you again for the use of the hall. We try to bring you things that are interesting, but I want to thank Emily and Jim and the boys in the studio that help out. It's a great place. I enjoy coming here. Who knows what the next show will be? I can't tell you. So, but we'll be back. And I want to thank you for coming.
And I'd like to thank Emily also. She did a great job this morning. And this is a beautiful studio here.
It is.
Beautiful town of Attleboro. I'm really excited to be here. And thank you guys in Attleboro. Hopefully you guys all like this show and the surrounding towns here. And hopefully you see me in the movies, and I hope you are entertained by my acting.
Good.
And I appreciate doing the show today. Thank you.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I want to say thanks again to the Cameron people and the studio people out there in the control room, and to everybody in the town of Attleboro. We'll see you again. Thank you very, very much.